everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to another Wellness Wednesday. So on this video, I want to go through 5 ways that have helped me and 5 things that may help you to not suppress your emotions. If you think about it, you're basically told to suppress your emotions since you were a kid. You know, if you have outbursts and if you were a naughty child, your parents would tell you to be quiet, go to your room, close the door, and stop acting that way. And obviously, in many ways, there needs to be some sort of form of that. But as you grow older, you will obviously instinctually go back to things that you were taught and things that you learned when you were a kid, even if it isn't to your benefit. Kind of on a side note, I've been reading this book, The Body Keeps the Score, Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma. When I was first starting in therapy, I was diagnosed with PTSD, and this book definitely describes many things, it kind of including and going around that. But I would like to just read the first paragraph in the prologue, because hopefully it will help you to kind of understand that everybody, I think, deals with some form of trauma or has been touched by somebody who has. So it says, one does not have to be a combat soldier or visit a refugee camp in Syria or the Congo to encounter trauma. Trauma happens to us, our friends, our families, and our neighbors. Research by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have shown that 1 in 5 Americans was sexually molested as a child. 1 in 4 was beaten by a parent to the point of a mark being left on their body, and 1 in 3 couples engages in physical violence. A quarter of us grew up with alcoholic relatives, and 1 out of 8 witnessed their mother being beaten or hit. Now, to me, obviously a great way to open a book, because those are just things that are astounding numbers that you do not hear. That is not something that is talked about in our society, and we have definitely tried, at least within the United States, to make it have this perception that we are a civilized people, which obviously, with everything that is going on, especially in this climate, we are not. There are many things that are pushed onto us to make us believe certain things are okay, and that just because we are civilized, we aren't in pain or we aren't experiencing trauma. So by going through this book, I will definitely touch on this more. I will put a link below. Bessel Kolk M.D. is the author of this book. It is a New York Times bestseller. I am, just taken aback by the first chapter, and sorry if I am sweating. It is warm in here again, a hot day. But if anybody has experienced difficulties in their life regarding a trauma or PTSD, if you were a soldier, or if you have been in a bad relationship, or if you know somebody, if I have been so pressed upon by the first chapter, I can only imagine this will help others as well, which is why I wanted to bring it up. But now let's talk about the 5 things that I have kind of done and encountered to try to help myself through difficult times in which I'm trying to release my emotions. That was one thing when I first went into therapy. I really wanted to figure out not only why did I get into the abusive relationship, but I wanted to remember. My brain definitely shut off the very difficult, traumatic experiences that I had, which obviously I needed to survive and continue to move forward. But I learned especially after I broke up, one of the first things that was kind of the number one of feeling an emotion that I had was anger and frustration, and just so mad that not only I put myself through the situation, but that I had somebody who I thought truly loved me do terrible things to me. And so when I was out of that relationship, the one thing that I very much focused on was my body, and I have plethora of videos talking about how I've lost so much weight, but I lost 150 pounds, and I know that I used exercise, which was my first thing, is doing something to help release the emotion. Obviously not to the point where you're harming yourself or you're harming anybody else, but if you're able to use something like exercise or a creative outlet to help you express yourself and express emotions that you're having, and especially if it's something that can have positive side effects, like I used exercise to try to help me not only get rid of anger and push out frustration, but it was helping my body, which desperately needed it too. Second, one thing that I've definitely struggled with is feeling ashamed of what happened to me, and thus I am ashamed of feelings and emotions that come through me because of everything that happened, especially when I have a memory that is triggered that I haven't remembered, which I continuously still get. One of the crazy things is definitely within therapy, I wanted to try to remember more things that happened to me, but beyond that, it was kind of breaking it down and really figuring out how low a place I was in to obviously experience that kind of abuse. So when I kind of remember things like that, it's trying to tell myself to not only be going easy on myself, but it's not being ashamed of having those thoughts and emotions and the hard times and the bad times. And I learned through my therapist that I went through a difficult time a couple weeks back, and having my mind bring up kind of older thoughts or feelings or memories was actually a really good thing. It showed that my mind was ready to submit to those emotions and submit to being able to comprehend what happened and go through the trauma. I do feel like I am definitely at a place where I have become much stronger and much more open to being able to kind of break down everything that happened in more of kind of like a science and analytical way, compared to in the very beginning, you're very much emotionally tied to things. And I like kind of breaking everything down to this point because not only it helps me understand how I got there, but it helps me learn who I am. It helps me to understand and to make sure that it never happens again, not only to myself, but hopefully I can help other people understand that they should never have to go through something like that either. Number 3 is using I statements. When I'm having a difficult time kind of either figuring out what I'm feeling, or if I just kind of feel like you have that bubbling of feelings, emotions, things are happening and I don't know how to process, I don't know what's going on, if I can try to calm myself down and say, I feel confused, I feel sad, I feel anxious, and then that helps me break down to maybe why I am feeling those feelings. Because I think a lot of the times there are so many feelings that are compounded on top of each other, because it usually is kind of, for me at least, a more surface level something that kind of sets off something that has been brewing and stirring inside of me for probably much longer. So when I'm able to kind of define for myself what emotion I am trying to release, it helps me to kind of calm myself down, because then it isn't this unknown of what's kind of going on in my brain, what's rattling around and trying to release itself. Number 4, which was something that I needed desperately, was talking to somebody. And I wish I would have started therapy sooner after I got out of the relationship, but I didn't. But talking to either a therapist, a trusted friend, a trusted family member, somebody that you can truly confide in, is probably the thing that I needed most. And it was not only to be honest with them, because I was very much lying about most of the relationship when I was in my abusive relationship, but I was lying to myself. And when you lie to yourself, that's what really starts to break you down and turn you into the person that you don't want to be, and turn you into somebody that you don't recognize, and you lose your self-identity, you lose your self-confidence, you are, any ounce of you that tries to make you who you are, that resonating inner being. Don't lie to yourself. Be honest, be open, even if things are scary and even if things may seem difficult to process and go through. It's okay. Everybody is going to have their challenges in life, and everybody is going to have something that tests them, that tests their character, that tests who they are as a person. And pushing yourself and giving yourself a new goal to kind of say, I can do this, I can get through this difficult time. And when you do that, the bar is then raised up another notch. You're able to then overcome even more as you realize that you are much stronger than you know, and you are a lot more resilient than you know as well. So talking with somebody, being honest, being open, and I've said this from the beginning, shame lives in the shadows, and I have been so ashamed of many of the things, and that's kind of part of why I broke down a couple weeks back of just what I did, why I did it, and I got so hard, and I felt so terrible about myself. But when I finally released not only my videos on YouTube about it, but talking to people and letting it known that I was a victim of domestic abuse, I can say it so much more now on the other side of being a survivor and being somebody who truly has become a better person because of it. Which is difficult to come to, and it's difficult to understand that I certainly would not be the Ashley I am today unless the abuse happened to me. And that's hard to come to, and that's hard to realize, but it is the difficult points in life that help you realize who you truly are. And then lastly, number 5 is kind of one of those common sense ones that we all need to work on, that we probably all aren't doing. Well, maybe a little bit more now that have been in this pandemic situation, but it's getting good sleep, sleeping well, meditation, just giving your body and your mind the time to relax and actually heal yourself and heal your body. I try to set kind of a bedtime and a wake up time, a schedule of some sorts to make sure that I'm getting around 8 hours of sleep. I probably should be doing a little bit better and making that more of a habitual thing, especially now that I'm probably stuck at home for quite a while here. But getting good sleep not only benefits my body restoring itself, but your mind too. You know, you need that time to truly heal and detoxify and become, you know, it's a new day when you wake up. It's a new chance to do better, be better, and focus on yourself. So I hope these 5 things may have helped you. I really encourage people to check out the book if they haven't. I will definitely be talking about it more on my channel. Sorry again for the immense amount of sweat. Holy moly, it's probably 90 degrees outside. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, evening, whatever you may be doing, wherever you are. Sending you all the positive vibes possible. Hope to see you on the next one. Bye, guys.